A few years ago, Atlanta used to be an amazing racing racetrack for a racing driver. As a racing driver, I used to have a lot of fun driving in Atlanta. But every single time that I was going back home on Monday and do my notes and review everything, I used to rewatch the race, and the reality is that most times than not, the race was a little bit boring. And once once I say we, but once Atlanta Atlanta really reconfigured the entire racetrack. I mean, it has changed the game completely. The intensity that we have in the race is unbelievable from start to end. How everything happens so quick. And it produced great racing. I mean, we have seen it not once, not twice, but several times. The kind of racing that we produce here, and we have been doing this only for a couple of years. So obviously very excited to come back in 2025 as the last race Atlanta first. What is that? Summer? Is the summer, right? No. The spring. Sorry, my English is not the best, but the spring winter, and really, looking forward to have another great race. Atlanta, since the reconfiguration, it's been a great place to me. I mean, we finished second last time, first the previous time than that, and I think the previous to that one, I feel like finished second as well. So we've been actually pretty good here. So looking forward to continue that trend, and hopefully we can get another victory.
Open it up to anybody else. Chad?
Hey Daniel, Chad Feltman, K13 Media. We're coming up on our 4th season of the new configuration. This will be our 7th race here in a couple of weeks. Just from your vantage point behind the wheel, I'm just curious on the grip level of the track. From where it was a few years ago to where it's at now, do you have like a percentage of where we're at now 4 years into it, and do you still expect everybody to be as bunched up and grouped like we've seen the last few years?
Yeah, that's a great question. I believe that the racetrack has definitely changed. It has lost grip, and it has gotten more character as well. It has become a little more bumpy, but that's great because that's just creating more opportunities. And I believe that the racing is going to continue to be the same. But what is going to change is the builds of the cars and the way that we make the setups in the cars. Maybe we won't be as aggressive with the trim out, and maybe we'll have to add a little more downforce to the car, and maybe a little bit ride quality through the bumps. So I feel like the racing product is going to be just as good. The difference is what we're going to do at the shop and preparing for this race. I can tell you all my secrets, but we've been working very hard, with my team. In every year that it happens, we have to make a small adjustments. Even though that we've been great here the last few trips, the car is not going to be the same. We have to make slowly some tweaks to it because we know the racetrack, every single winter here over this is pretty cold. The racetrack gets a hit. So it's very important just to keep up with that.
There's so much talk, Doug Turnbull from PRN and 5 to Go podcast, there's so much talk about, I guess, the rules changes, right? And one of those, the damaged vehicle policy. And look, tracks like this and Daytona and Talladega, it certainly comes into play. So, do you have any comment to the drivers, or do you personally feel better about having a little more leeway to fix a race car if you get beat up in a crash with a toe link or some kind of damage?
Well, there's limitations as well. Like if you break an upper control arm or a lower control arm, you're done. So it's just a level of the accident that you may have. With that being said, I think it's a great decision because NASCAR put themselves in a little bit of a delicate situation with a 5-minute clock, or sometimes it was 8 or something like that, because they were the bad guys, doesn't matter what, and I felt that they were getting a lot of people mad for them doing their job. So I think it's a great call, in my opinion. It's a great call that they get that out of the way. Cars getting stuck sometimes with flat tires. This car is not designed to have flat tires. That's plain and simple. We have the car is flat underneath, the car is very low to the ground, and they have to do some things to the shocks to help that, but still, it's a little bit tricky to move the car around. So I feel like the more the NASCAR has, the more NASCAR gets out of that judge decisions, okay, you are out, you are in, or the clock is out, I think the better it's going to be for the sport, so they don't get in that judgment call.
Brad Harris from Frustration.com. You got the win here earlier last year. How much does that change the approach when you have that win early in the season that you don't have to go through next 20 races trying to get in that top threshold?
Yeah, it's definitely a big deal. You know, to be able to win early in the season is a big deal because you get the opportunity to try things that probably if you didn't have the win, you probably wouldn't do. With that being said, you know, you also have to gain points and to get stage points and things like that. So I feel like that was one of the mistakes that we made probably in the middle of last year that you know, for 2 months there were a lot of things that we really wanted to try and see. But there were 2 months that we lost a lot of momentum. There were 2 months that some of those things worked, some of those things didn't work, and it was a little bit tricky. It was a little bit tricky. I don't like to race bad. You know, I like to be competitive and win as many races as possible. So, answering to your question, I think it's amazing to win early, but you have to put in a balance. You know, because the regular season points and the stage points are extremely important, especially when you get close to the playoffs.
There's so much lead up to Daytona. It's like we spend months and months in the off season, whatever. Oh, Daytona, and then Atlanta's like that. It's the next week. Is this the point in the off season where, like, dude, are you already talking about Atlanta with your crew chief? Are you already having meetings to plan for Atlanta and then COTA the next race, or because it's all talk right now is Clash and then mainly Daytona?
Yeah, I can assure you that there is definitely conversations in the shop. You know, my crew chief is already thinking about Atlanta, COTA, Phoenix, and all those, the first handful of races. Me as a racing driver, I'm only focusing one race at a time because I have to put all my energy into that. But my crew chief and my mechanics and all the people that build these cars, you know, they have to be playing ahead. So, you know, they cannot build a car in a week. So yes, definitely there is conversations. I'm not involved just yet. I normally get involved probably 2-3 weeks before the race weekend. So right now, I would say that we're still 1 week or 2 away from start talking about Atlanta strategy, setup, how trim, how much downforce we're gonna have, etc., etc.
Daniel, does your team carry the pinata to every track? And who decides what candy goes in it?
Yeah, so we do carry a few piñatas to every track. We are hoping that we can use them as much as possible. Candy, you know, I don't decide the candy. I don't pick the candy, but probably I should because the last couple of times that we won, I haven't been a huge fan of the candy that's in it. So probably I have to start putting some input into the quality of candy that is in there.
Alfa Romeo Southern Race Week Radio, what candy would you like to have in the piñata?
It's a very easy question, man. Mexican candy, tamarindos, the spicy candy. That's the kind of candy that I love. It's funny because we were just in media day in NASCAR a couple of days ago, and some of the promoters from the Mexico City race, they brought actually some Mexican candy, and they were filming it, and they were giving it to most of the drivers, and their faces, man, were so funny. The guy that was doing this, he showed me the film. The faces were so funny. I guarantee you, I was the only guy that enjoyed the candy. So if we put Mexican candy into this piñatas, I'm gonna be the only guy happy.
Well, you got married during the off season and all that. How's married life changed you? Do you feel like that might change your approach to racing now that you're married and having a family now and down the road, kids and all that kind of stuff? How has that all been for you, that kind of adjustment?
Honestly, it hasn't changed anything. It's the same. It's the same thing. It's exactly the same thing. I mean, we're together already for a little while, and we have known each other for a very long time. Eventually, maybe when we decide to start a family, maybe it's gonna change a little bit more, having kids. But for now, the only difference is that I have a ring and she has a ring too. That's it. that's the only difference so far. Hopefully, it stays that way. But no, it's been amazing. Julia is very, very good. She's a huge fan of racing. Sometimes I believe that she loves racing more than me. I love competing very, very bad, but she loves racing. She likes watching everything related with racing. She grew up doing this. You know, I didn't grow up racing. I grew up working on cars. She grew up in a racetrack with her dad and her brothers. So yeah, I'm very fortunate, you know, to have her in my life and to have somebody that really, really, truly understands racing and what it takes to do this 100%. Because in NASCAR, if you're not all in, it's not gonna work. So she knows that I have to be all in, and she has to support me.
Now, Dustin mentioned being back here, the memories that come back from the race. Atlanta Motor Speedway has been known for some great finishes, tight finishes throughout the years. Your race is definitely probably right up there with the races finishes here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. And even now, people still talk about it, especially since we're getting closer to that race. What's it feel like to be a part of that history of those fantastic close finishes that have been here at Atlanta Motor Speedway?
Oh, it's definitely very special. I was just talking to Dustin about that. Not too long ago, a few weeks ago, we had a pretty good, interesting film with Kyle and Ryan, and we were watching the race together, and they were filming about it. And I was making fun of them that I say, guys, they're making you guys do all this stuff, and you guys finish second and third. so I feel very, very lucky that I was the one that won the race, because let's be real, when we exit of corner number 4. Any of us could have won the race. I mean, it was so close. It's not like I did a better job than them. It was just timing. All three of us, we did a very good job to put ourselves in that position. But once it's that close, it's just a matter of timing. It's a matter of the run, of the push, and things like that. So, and the fact that we didn't wreck, that's the other thing. So we did a great job, and we enjoy it. I'm just very happy that I was the one that won the race.
One more. We got time for one more. Anybody?
Well,
hold on. Does anybody else have any?
Kind of talk about the expectations of the track house this year now. The SVG being more into as well, and the success you and Ross both showed you could get in the postseason. I mean, you feel like the expectations have been raised.
Yeah, Shane is a great racing driver, man. Shane is very good. Especially his road course. That's what he did. I still believe that he has more experience than the entire field combined in road course racing. That's what he used to do all the time in Australia. So he's a very good road course driver, and he has shown that in ovals. Obviously, he has a long way to go, and he's gonna have to learn, and he's gonna rely on Ross and myself to do that. But in road course, I feel like the whole program is gonna get better because of him, because his experience and his feel, and I'm really looking forward to have him on board.